Hello, fellow Intro to Communications 101 students. Thank you for taking the time to watch our multimedia presentation on the 4 listening styles and how they function in a workplace setting.
Our group is named Athletic Ireland Pink Dogs, and we have 4 members: Blair Stock, Jake King, Riley Malloy, and Judith Starr.
We have chosen a skit that first involves 2 co-workers in the office of a non-profit organization that provides services for people dealing with homelessness. The co-workers have very different interactions with a client based on their differing listening styles. After this initial interaction, their manager and assistant manager, who also have different listening styles, engage in a work meeting and solve a problem, each employing their preferred listening style. We hope to highlight the applications, strengths, and weaknesses of each listening style through communication with a client and between coworkers. Scene 1. An obviously distraught homeless client enters the office close to closing hours and is greeted by Judy, who is a time-oriented listener.
I really need help. I'm totally freaking out. They said I can't fix my credit in 90 days, and they said I'll never get into an apartment if I can't fix my credit. I don't want to go back to living in my truck. Last time they stole all my clothes, and I was jumped.
I get that you are worried about your housing situation, but I don't have time to talk to you right now. We are closing in 10 minutes.
But please,
I understand that you're upset, but unfortunately, we are about to close the office, and I need at least an hour to go over all of the information with you. We have a very specific procedure that we must follow in our office, and I have to get to a dinner meeting. Please come back tomorrow morning. We open at 8 a.m.
Hello, why don't you come into my office for a minute, and let's talk about what happened? It sounds like living in your truck is not a safe option for you, but you're scared you won't be able to get on your feet in 90 days. Tell me how you are feeling about this. Would you like a glass of water?
In this interaction with a distraught client, Judy was direct and to the point but did not take the time to listen to the client's needs beyond the concrete need for housing. She was focused on following office procedures and wanted to make sure that she had the correct amount of time to get all of the accurate and important information necessary to do her job. This required her to ask the client to return the next day during normal business hours. The benefits of the time-oriented listening style in this instance were that Judy would be able to close the office at the appropriate time following office procedure, and she was also allowing herself the opportunity to take the appropriate amount of time with the client the following day. The downside of this interaction was that the client, who was in clear distress, was not having her emotional needs met, and she didn't feel heard. Blair, the people-oriented listener, was helpful in meeting the emotional needs of the client and helping her to feel heard. She was there to lend an ear to a person in a stressful situation. When listening to the client, she focused on the underlying emotional distress fueling her communication. The downside of this listening style was that she ended up staying 2 hours past closing time, which was against office procedure, and this also took away from her personal time outside of work. To ensure Blair's safety, 2 other staff, Judy and Jake, were also required to stay late and wait, resulting in several hours of overtime that would need to be made up by leaving early later in the week. Although she was very successful in helping her client feel better emotionally, she wasn't able to take steps to remedy her client's housing situation effectively. Scene 2. The next day, the manager, Riley, an action-oriented listener, calls a meeting to discuss what transpired with the homeless client. As an action-oriented listener, Riley does very well in her position as a manager as she looks at a problem and tries to formulate a plan of action. She is organized and has a "let's get this done" attitude. She also calls the assistant manager, Jake, a content-oriented listener, into the meeting. Jake is a great right-hand man to Riley but can tend to get caught up in the details and loves to talk in depth about most things.
I arranged this meeting to discuss the situation with the homeless woman seeking help with her housing situation last evening. I'd like to know how you 3 will schedule a time to leave early this week and end the week at 40 hours. The client called and expressed concern about the way Judy treated her when she came into the office. She was also frustrated because Blair didn't get the pertinent information to help her with her current living situation. Please explain in concise detail what happened last evening.
Yes, I would love your perspectives on what happened last night. On the one hand, I can see why Judy wanted to close on time and get to her dinner meeting, but on the other, I think it was great that Blair took the time to help a woman in obvious distress. I wonder what could have been done differently to ensure that both the woman's needs were met and that she felt listened to. This reminds me of the time.
I mean, could I have stayed and helped the woman? Yes, but I am a very busy person, and I only have so much time in a day. I figured she could just wait until the morning. What difference are 12 hours going to make? It's impossible for her to fix her situation overnight anyways. There's no magic button to fix it. It takes time.
From my perspective, I saw a woman who was emotionally distraught and needed a shoulder to cry on. It's hard for me just to get up and walk away from someone in need. I did miss my daughter's softball game, but I felt that the client needed my support and understanding.
Neither of you is necessarily wrong, but we have processes and procedures for a reason. Staying 2 hours past closing is against protocol, but we also need to figure out a way to meet the emotional needs of our clients in an appropriate way. In order to keep things operating smoothly, we need to follow protocol. So, in order to make sure that this never happens again, let's talk about the steps we need to take in the future when this sort of situation arises.
Absolutely. In the case of Blair, who is obviously a people-oriented person, she was effective in helping to calm this client, who was under a great amount of stress. From what I have read in the New York Times, homelessness has a variety of causes, and when thinking about the person who is homeless, we must focus on the status of their mental health to better address their needs. Therefore, the logistics of homelessness are important, yes, but so too is the status of a person's mental health. For Judy, who is obviously a time-oriented individual, her time constraints were most important to her, which may not be the most effective when dealing with someone in distress. However, she followed the office protocol and closed the office on time, and so kept to company policy. Do you think that you could have been a bit more sensitive, Judy?
Yes, I understand that I need to be more empathetic to our clients, but I have a lot to do this morning, so are we close to being done with this meeting?
Judy, we want every interaction with our clients to be the best possible outcome for all parties involved. We need to address the physical needs of our clients while at the same time ensuring that we are following procedure and making our clients feel heard and supported. I want you both to tell me what actions you could have taken to have had a more successful outcome. Blair?
I see what you were saying, Riley, and I'm so sorry if I disappointed you. I think that I could have listened to the client's issues, but also, I could have made an appointment for her to come back in the morning, and I could have provided a contact for the local women's shelter.
I agree with Blair. That would have been a good solution for dealing with this situation. You know what they say, hindsight is 20/20.
I think I have an even better solution to the problem. You two could have worked together, using your strengths to help this woman. Blair, you are more people-oriented and have a propensity for caring and understanding, which is helpful in calming people under stress. Whereas Judy, you are more time-oriented and are great at getting things done in a timely manner. If you work together, you could help people very effectively. In the final skit, we showed how the 4 listening styles, action-oriented, people-oriented, time-oriented, and content-oriented, can communicate effectively and solve a problem. Riley, the action-oriented listener, had an organized thought process and wanted to get to the bottom of things with straightforward and accurate information. Jake, the content-oriented listener, on the other hand, wanted to analyze the information, ask questions and dive deeper into the subject at hand. Riley was effective at keeping the meeting on track and focused, while Jake was sure to get to the bottom of the issue, helping a homeless person in need, which was also an important part of the meeting. Although at times it may seem like these listening styles may be in conflict with each other, when employed in a mindful way, each style can bring a useful perspective to the table. In our skit, we hope to show how different people, with different listening styles, can work together effectively.